What up, traders? What up, investors? Ken here from the Dyslexic Investor, and thank you for joining for another fantastic live stream on Stock Nightly, Stock Sunday, Stock Watch List, blah, 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 whatever the title is. Just basically here to have a great time, talk some stocks, look at some charts, and just have a great time with all the good old folks that are currently on the chat here. Again, greatly appreciate everyone taking the time on coming on here for a couple, maybe an hour or something, maybe most likely longer, and we'll just have a great time here. We have a lot of earnings for next week, not as large as of companies like we saw last week with Apple, Amazon, Google, and Facebook, but we got some pretty unique ones. We have like Square, Roku, Fastly, Etsy. We have some other ones that some people will be looking at too, is like Cloudflare, Datadog, Uber, Trade Desk. We have the Papa John's Pizza. We have Ralph Lauren. I know that game that has come up a little bit. We have Ferrari, which is race ticker, I believe. We have the Clorox company, which we actually own some shares in. We have Chegg, Virgin Galactic up through the close on Monday. We have Beyond Meat, Activision Blizzard, Disney, Twilio. So we got NKLA too. So that's gonna be it's gonna be a nice little fun show without a doubt coming this week. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Dan. Ryan, what's up, man? David, hey, how's everyone doing? Thank you so much for coming out. Knights, what's up? Hopefully, can I get like a thumbs up or a smiley face in the chat here to make sure the sound quality is okay. There's no echo or anything. I have a small fan on in the background because again it was like 97 degrees today. I lost $750 in Kodak and I have 18 shares. Do you recommend selling or holding? No, I'm not laughing at you. That's just not my kind of wheelhouse in the sense of trading Kodak, because that was just completely really bogus news, and I think that I think that company will go back down to $2. Thank you. Sounds good. Thank you. Let's go. Yeah, here we go. All right, so for Kodak, I wouldn't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. Shane, why are you showing me? What is that? Is that a zucchini or an eggplant? So Kodak, I can't touch it. For that, it's if you're out of it in it, like it's if you're short, do you shorting it or are you going? I guess you're buying long. That thing you should have not have held overnight. First of all, I'm sorry if you did. Holding that overnight was pretty dangerous. Kodak puts. That's. Good luck trying to buy Kodak puts as well. They're super expensive. Yeah, we can look at some QQQ. Let's go ahead and just make sure everyone is good. I got a sound check in. Bada bing, bada bang. Let me go ahead and move this out of the way. Let's go ahead and look at the Qs, or the noodles I like to call them. Again, this is a pretty amazing move that we had last week with the onslaught of really great earnings coming out of Apple, Facebook. Amazon did well. They gapped up, but they kind of closed a little bit lower but Facebook and Apple really took off to the moon. We still haven't broken this previous high here at 269.79 here for the noodles, aka the Qs. We're really looking to kind of puncture through that. That high is actually pretty significant because that high was basically after Netflix reported. It just basically came crashing down since Netflix earnings. So that we really haven't seen a high in the Qs since Netflix earnings. That seems like ages ago. That was only like 2 weeks ago. Again, you see the parabolic SAR. We finally did have that switch, which is a great movement to kind of give that downward support to come in. We do have a squeeze setting up here, 3-day squeeze, which is pretty powerful. The volume zone oscillator and RSI are ready to pop. I think that these could definitely go pretty high. We can do actually I haven't done a fib here for a while, so let's do a Fibonacci retracements on the noodles. Yeah, so we're basically holding that 1272 extension, which is around 257. And then looking, that basically kind of lines up where the 21 is, so that's pretty significant there. And with that, we can see the 5 and 8 really pretty tightly showing support here as well. And again, with the parabolic as they are switching, really looking for that initial price target around 282.62 there. For that, again, just kind of that continuously grinding higher and potentially start breaking out to all-time highs, because we're still a little bit lagging within the Russell and the S&P 500. So we can look at the SPY as well. This one looks really strong because this thing closed up fairly well as well. So we saw, again, this candle, again, I'm not going to completely put everything on one single candle, but this candle looks super strong. That super strong candle with a lot of that upward momentum here. Again, that huge exposed wick here really just shows that all the buying pressure and everything was basically pushed to the top side of the candle, and a lot of that momentum is continuing going higher. RSI's slightly elevated, volumes on oscillators basically nominal, looking for that potentially to kind of potentially move higher. That we can see. I'm sorry, I literally just turned my head and I saw Ryan post that Clinton killed Epstein. So that's not funny. Oh, okay, all right, let's get back in the game here. Okay, I don't know why I'm laughing at that. That's terrible. Anyways, where was I? Okay, yeah, so we're looking for the S&P 500 to really break out of that 327 level to potentially get that grind higher to around the previous high, which is around basically 339. Let's just call it 340 if you want to be politically correct about it. We can see that movement, again, with a lot more earnings coming out this week, would really just create, put that last nail in the coffin and really just send those bears down to Hades. Then the Russell, which is basically, we look at the IWM here, is also one that's been very interesting due to the fact, again, the Russell is the larger component of mostly U.S.-based companies, so they're going to be looking at the more of the overall, what's the word I'm looking for? Composite of more U.S.-based companies, not more like multinational companies, like a lot of the companies in the NASDAQ, and they do a lot more they do more business outside of the U.S., and a lot of it just basically going on in there. Hey Brian, thanks for joining, my friend. Jason, how you doing? Shane, thank you for joining, guys. So with the IWM or the Russell, this is the Russell 2000 ETF, we're really looking to really break potentially the 153, let's just call it 154, to kind of break above that 78.6 percentile move to kind of start grinding higher here. Again, we're still pretty much at we're above the 200-day. The 200-day is going to be really strong support if we do get a downswing or some kind of potential selling or something like that. And what's going on here? Shane, Ryan, you got to stop that stuff. This is a stock channel. This is not a conspiracy theory channel. United laid off more pilots. Really? Oh, that's sad. That's really sad. 78.6 percentile move, looking for the IWM to kind of push higher. Yeah, we'll start looking at some stocks here in a second. We'll see how that goes in. My birthday is on Friday. Nice. Shane, you're full of things. You went from Monica Lewinsky to layoffs for pilots on United, then to your birthday. That's you're really machine gunning things here. Yeah, airlines, I gotta stay away from. I think there could be another couple balls to drop, if you know what I mean, to see on how that plays out. They're not performing very well. So the one we can look at airlines is just look at jets. That's the ETF that kind of tracks all the airlines. They're all the same familiar pattern here. The squeeze just fired short. This can potentially last for a couple more days. I think I did this Fibonacci extensions on this one. So we're going to do the previous swing high to the low to the high again. and we click here. We're basically could potentially look for around $14 to the first initial downside support for Jets. So I'm actually going to put an alert out there for that. All right. Okay. So that was Jets. Let's go ahead and look at some other stocks. Let me scroll back up real fast. I know there was someone who said something. Someone said something. I'm sorry, guys. It's just the chat is just too much sometimes. Activision. Alexander, you wanted to look at Activision. Let's look at Activision. So that reports, I believe, on Tuesday, correct? Of course, with EA's doing pretty well and performed very well, I think this is somewhat in suit for Activision to do very well. That doesn't mean that it's going to be flying off. It's really just been holding the 5 and 8 and coming down to the 21 just to kind of tap it a little bit. But we do have a squeeze going on here. We had a previous squeeze here as well that fired long. Kind of looking at the same kind of pattern here. Last earnings, it really did skyrocket quite a bit. Again, a lot of folks are staying home, playing video games, nothing really else much to do, and that could be basically still happening now with more folks getting into various games from Call of Duty to, again, they own Candy Crush, which I see those advertisements everywhere, so I think they're going to be performing well. But again, earnings is a complete coin flip, so be mindful of that. If I'll be probably trading this, I'll be selling around the $80 put, which I think I already have actually. I thought it came out Monday, but we weren't able to figure that out in the sense of I was kind of I got into the earnings trade a little bit too early. I like to get into like the day of or something like that. But yeah, looking for support again around the 21 if it does come down here, potentially even down to the 34, was around $78.34. NKLA garbage. Let's see here. Kelly D, you want to look at Workhorse and Space. Alright, so with this one, of course, Workhorse is basically still in that retracement. Really had that really FOMO move. Kind of came down here to this, just trading sideways here. Really holding that 21. This is basically the pattern of, it's a pretty good looking pattern in the sense of, hey, it really did skyrocket. Then it kind of got ahead of itself, and now it's kind of coming down to consolidating and just waiting on earnings, basically. You're really seeing earnings coming out the 10th, which is that, like Monday of next week? Yeah. So Monday of, not this following week, but the next week. Really just trading sideways right now. Really just waiting for that. It looks like for earnings, honestly. And if it can hold the 21, the earnings is going to be coin flip. I don't know too much about this company on the fundamental side, but it really needs to start breaking above the parabolic SAR if you want it to go higher. The 21 and 34 is really going to be your support there, Kelly D. Let's look at Space. Space, again, has earnings, I believe, Monday after the close. And this one, we kind of, again, we're just waiting on to see what happens here. We really want to see it above 25.78 for the long term to kind of see it start breaking above 30. But it kind of had a huge run up pre-earnings and then kind of sold off a little bit towards the last week. It's still holding the 21, which is basically 38.2 percentile move around $21.83. So that is a pretty significant mark. But again, with earnings on the horizon, you got to be very careful with this one. Again, this is a very speculative play, and they don't have much revenue, if any. I think this could be a very much around a really bucking bronco, as they say in the circus ring or in the rodeo. Yeah, I think it was a rodeo clown in a past life. Gibbs Riot blockchain. What's Riot? Is that just? I remember looking at that one before. Is it just Riot? So Yeah. So I have an alert here. Never broke it, Gibbs. So I basically had I wanted to speculatively trade this way back when. I think you're the one who may have brought this to my attention or something. And again, we were talking about particularly Bitcoin breaking out. It really did. Kind of missed it. But now it's just kind of trading sideways, looking for the questionable earnings here on the 6th. So that is what, Thursday? And basically seeing how this trade's coming into there. It's really just holding that 21 pattern and the 34. Potential support basically going to coming down to $2. I know it's a penny stock, but this is a blockchain technology, so anything can happen there. Sean, LB. What is LB? Is that Limit Brands? Oh, wow, they had a huge jump. Holy moly. Is this a clothing line? What is this, Shane? This is interesting. What is this? This doesn't look pretty because, again, on the longer term side, it's just really just trending lower. But it's kind of trying to give itself some life here to kind of really start breaking out here. But there's nothing really too compelling for me. This move is pretty substantial here, gapping up from basically 19 to 26 and just really flying substantially higher. There's nothing really much to add here, looking for potentially just kind of leveling off and potentially even selling off if it can't hold this momentum up here. MK7 checkout NOMD. Nomad Foods Limited. I don't know what this company does. What do they do? So basically make an all-time high just Friday. That's pretty substantial. With earnings as well coming out this week on Thursday. Looking fairly substantial. This is the only thing I'm a little concerned about with this movement into earnings. I'm a little bit scared to see how this plays out, and the sense of a large movement already into earnings is usually I'm always somewhat skeptical about, but it looks like it makes money each quarter, so they're not losing money, but it's kind of just drastically just kind of trading around the 21, and at the times it has got away from the 21, it kind of comes back down. So potentially kind of seeing if this can kind of start catching up with the 21 again and kind of trading it from that. It looks like a lot of support basically around the $20 range. So that's substantial to the downside. I know it's pretty far away from 23 where it's currently at, but the downward support is pretty strong around $20 there on basically the 200-day EMA there. To the upside, it can be kind of random, but let me look at the previous. This is the previous high here, so let's draw. If earnings is gangbusters and does great, we're looking for basically above 24 to basically $24 to $25 for that price target there if things go well. Oh, my chat just updated again. Wonderful. Let's see here. Kelly D, Zynga gameplay. Yeah, Zynga, kind of the same field of EA and Activision and Take-Two and things like that. Really just a little bit more cheaper price stock than all those other folks that we just talked about. But now it's just kind of just trading sideways between the 5 and 8 exponential moving average and the 21. Really holding that 34 there, which is the orange line. We're seeing the momentum slightly change here. RSI is flat. Some volume coming in, which is great. Potentially looking for, I don't know what happened here. Maybe this was due to the overall sell-off, but that seems a little bit strange there. Had a pretty large run-up, then kind of gaps down, and then trades sideways, and then gaps up. Here, looking for that momentum to continue. We did have that parabolic SAR switch with earnings as well on the Wednesday, it looks like. We could be seeing, again, earnings a coin flip, so to see how that plays out. But we'll see how that definitely sees. This looks interesting. I want to look. Let me do a quick fib here. So previous swing high to swing low. Really needs to break above 10 to 11. Sorry, it's $10 to like 10.25 to see that momentum upside coming up, and then basically get to that $10.50 price target where was the original high. Again, yeah, the weekly chart doesn't look, it looks pretty good as well. It's not trending down, it's just continually trending upwards there. Let's see here. All right. Why did that do that? Okay, that was weird. What's your thoughts on JP Morgan, James? JP Morgan, one of the bigger banks, really just kind of hit hard with all the other banks and just kind of underperforming the overall market. If you have some time on your hand and you want to be buying into this, like that's reasonable, but it's just really just kind of trading in the range between 101 and basically 92. Potentially kind of just trading this range. Even with earnings, it kind of popped up and now just kind of somewhat trading sideways here. The parabolic SAR has switched the past 2 days to the downside. So this is basically in like lukewarm water and just kind of figuring out where it needs to go. If it wants to go higher, it really needs to break above 101.43. If it wants to go lower, it needs to break below 92.06. So be mindful of those two levels. I kind of have some price targets here a little bit further out because I think I'm selling some puts and selling call. I'm doing an iron condor on this guy to kind of see how this plays out. Let's see here. Roku, Dan. Yeah, we can do Roku. I think you asked about that last time. We can do that one for sure. Roku also has earnings. I believe, what day was Roku? I think it was Wednesday there as well, coming out. Really between that previously swing high to low, we basically finally broke above that 50% retracement there, then kind of gapped up to the 618, really broke above that, and now just hovering around the 78.6 percentile move. Potentially to see how this plays out. If it's going to be on the bullish side, we need to see it go higher to 176.55. It's going to be the next overhead ceiling of resistance. To the downside, we can come down to 130. I think the move is pretty substantial. They're saying about $21 where we're currently at. $21 where we're currently at is easily can get above this level here and even down to the 31 level. So basically, if you're not in it, you're basically kind of waiting on potentially seeing how it plays out. If it's it's going to be a coin flip again from the bullish side or the lower end side here as well. We'll see how that overall can take the market within Roku. Kind of a wild trader here. There's not a complete really trend here. It just kind of ebbs and flows and just kind of sticks around at certain levels. Especially you can see here there's not a true upward movement like you can see on an Apple or Nvidia or things like that. You also said silver. Oh yeah, silver. I'm getting a lot of pings about silver. Silver is a little bit too high elevated for me. Can it run higher? Without a doubt. But it has gapped up multiple days here. My honestly opinion is it could stall out here, maybe go up to 24 to 25, and then maybe kind of trade sideways for a little bit, and then potentially sell off. That's just my honest opinion there. That is, again, for it to get to the next gap up, it's going to have to be $30, and I don't understand I don't have to understand why the price is going up, but it just seems strange that silver or gold has gapped up so much in the last couple of weeks and without a real true break. So it needs to kind of take a break and consolidate a little bit before it really makes that move higher. Oh, that's great news, Alexander. You got your notice that I got my notice that I'm not getting laid off this week. Well, that's great. I'm happy for you, Alexander. Miles, CHW? Question mark, question mark, question mark? CWH, okay. What is this? Camping World Holdings. Oh, yes. This thing, of course, that's basically what they're doing. They're going out camping, right? They're not able to go flying or go outside the country or anywhere. They're just going renting those RVs and going camping. This is a great looking stock without a doubt. Basically reminds me of like Tractor Supply or a company where everyone wants to be a gardener. Now everyone's a backpacker or camper in this now. That 5 and 8 moving average is really grinding higher. It's really holding that 21, which is that yellow line here, and continue going higher. You can kind of see here I had this make-believe trend line here from way back when, and it's just been holding it pretty substantially and just continued grinding higher here. Kind of stalling out here just a little bit, kind of taking a breather. It's going to be hard. Let me look at the weekly. Okay, there we go. So this was at 40. Oh my gosh. So let's go. This is a weekly side. So it's basically here at the 78.6 percentile move at $38.16. If we want to gap and go higher, we need to break and close above that level there, Miles, and just kind of trade around this range. Again, with earnings, when is earnings for this company? The 5th, so that's this week. Okay, they don't have weeklies, so they're saying a $8, $9 move just by the 21st. They can gap up there, but that's gonna be asking a lot of it if you can get it up there by the 21st. But that's an interesting trade. I like that. I kind of like this setup here. It's a good looking chart. If it can report good though, this is an interesting one. I'm gonna add this to my list. Thank you, Miles. This is a really good looking company. We'll see how that plays out. Really looking to that $46 price target. To the downside, we're looking around $30.73 there. One second, my lovely thing is not working. Let's see here. That's great. Okay. Making sure everything is going so far so good. Everything is looking great. Okay. That's a great looking stock. Okay, let's go. Puts on China, yes. Puts on TikTok for sure. That's it. It's going to be definitely see how that plays out. Looks like my thing just updated once again. Ryan XPO. What's XPO? That sounds familiar. Is that that Xerox company? XPO Logistics. I don't know what this does here, Ryan. I've never heard of this before. Are they some kind of like a shipping company or something? So the previous swing high to low, we can see here, if we can really grasp that. So the previous swing high to low, we're looking again. You can see it really failed at the 78.6 percentile move, failing here at $86.97 multiple times, and it looks like it had a missed quarter. That 200-day kind of came in for ongoing support to kind of give it a little bit of helping hand and kind of let it say, hey, sorry for your loss, but we're going to kind of come here around the 200-day to kind of hold it here. We'll see how that plays out. This one looks, I don't like to buy on a large red candle like this, but if that 200-day can hold and kind of start closing above the 76.61, that could be a potential movement higher. Oh, it's a trucking company, Shane? Okay. Sean, that could just kind of trade sideways here for a little bit, but that's not really a great sign of just a huge red candle like that. I don't want to be running out and buying that. I need to probably wait a couple days or even a week to see how that plays out. Unless you're long-term and the weekly chart looks somewhat okay. It's kind of coming down to the 21 there on the weekly side. But we'll see how that plays out with that one. That's nothing really too much to add on that one. Again, if it really wants to go higher, it really needs to break above 86, but now it's just kind of fighting for some air here to kind of get above that 76.61. Cody, any catalyst on UAVS? What are your thoughts on the merger of Fluke? I don't know any of those companies, and I don't really follow too much of the merger news, but I can look at the chart for you, my friend. UAVS. So this is a penny stock. I can't really much to comment on it because, again, it's very heavily manipulated, as you can see here. Really just a lot of FOMO here. I don't know the company that's at all. Looks like it's an aerial drone company or some kind or something, but that looks interesting, very, very interesting. Where did my comments go? This is terrible, this thing, how this works out. Facebook, Brian, this we can look at Facebook. So Facebook, like Apple, really gapped up after earnings, breaking out to all-time highs, it looks like. Really breaking above that $248 price target that we were looking at previously, looking for that to kind of hold. Next initial overhead ceiling of resistance is basically around the 278.53 level. That's going to be the next overall ceiling of resistance here. Again, to the downside, we're looking around 248 to 250, basically kind of creating somewhat of a cushion. If it really wants to sell off and go lower, it's going to be around 225, 226 there. For Facebook. Facebook is very interesting, without a doubt. They're doing very well, even though they got called in front of Congress, basically for whatever reasons, to say that they're not doing well, and the company's taking everyone's data, but we kind of knew that. You're very welcome. Sorry I wasn't able to comment on that, my own friend. Can you do WDC? So Western Digital, okay. They make good hard drives. So this one's kind of a lagger here. You can, just by looking at the chart, the moving averages, it's below the 200-day. It's just kind of just in a trading pattern. It's having a hell of a time getting above the $44.44. There's nothing really much. It really needs to start breaking above that if you want to be on the long side. To the downside, we could be potentially looking at 37.93 if they can't get their S together. And we're seeing that movement kind of here. It's just super tight, a lot of consolidation coming through. We've seen this squeeze before, and it fires short. Was substantially short, but that was, again, a lot of that pandemic stuff really scared everything off. But this one is just kind of trading sideways in it. If you were going to be on the bull side, you need to start seeing above 44. To the downside, you're looking around the $57 price target there. How about Fiverr? What's Fiverr's ticker? FVRR. Yikes, that's a great looking stock there, my friend. Yeah, that's a nice looking chart. So again with that, a lot of just new, like an Etsy, that I saw someone post about that. We can look at that as well. Like an Etsy, Zoom. You see all those new, I won't call it new technologies, but a lot of folks just discovering new things. I think Fiverr has discovered and gave a lot of people a new form of income, a new way of doing business, things like that. This thing has just really just rocketed higher. Really not too much to add here, due to the fact that if it can continue pushing higher, potentially cannot be buying it up here. It needs to kind of come down to around the 21, so around $84, $85 to potentially start buying in. I know you're going to have to kind of be patient and be waiting on your heels to pounce on this one, but this thing has just been going gangbusters with earnings on the horizon. This could be, again, it could go through the moon, substantially higher, or it can just be trading sideways, so we'll see how that has to play out there for sure. Dan, Target, yeah, we can look at Target. So Target is, we have a position on this as well, yeah. So I have a position on looking for basically 130 price target here for Target. I know we have a lot of lines here, so we can kind of get this away. We were kind of in this trading range, broke out of it with that squeeze here, and now we're seeing RSI and volume zone oscillator to continue grinding higher. So we like to see that pattern play out. Potentially looking for that 130 price target. That was the previous high here, with the 5 and 8 and 21.34 looking very pretty stacked, very sexy, and this is looking to kind of see this trade higher there. I just want to do a quick shout out. So down below, if you haven't seen already, we have that new join button, and if you're interested, we're going to have some particular only live streams or more like learning centers, live streams for members. If you want to join that, you can check that out at your discretion. It's, again, these Sunday live streams will not go away. These are just an added bonus for folks who are asked for more help and more technical understanding of what the charts I look at, and just wanted to kind of give an avenue for folks to be able to do that. Again, nothing has changed here. We're going to continue making trashy garbage videos and talking about stocks on Sundays and whenever. So just wanted to give a quick shout out for that if you're interested in doing that. All right, let's go back to the thing. Shane S. INFY. What is that? FY. What is that? I don't know this company, but they gapped up on earnings and they're flying. They're flying. Yes, they are. That's a great looking chart. I don't know what this company does, but let me look at the previous daily, come on now, daily high to low. We can see that here. Looking for initial overhead ceiling of resistance around 1352. That's going to be the next overhead ceiling of resistance. To the downside, support's really going to kind of come in around 21, basically anywhere from 1180 to around $12 to the downside. But with earnings, this looks like it can run higher with that momentum, and looking for that $13.52 price target there. So that looks really interesting. Great looking stock there, my friend, and see you later. NKLA is dying, yay. So I don't know if you guys were able to look at my NKLA video where it was I think it was like Jessica from like Arizona went out to look at the new construction site, and of course NKLA at their press conference and their groundbreaking was like, we're going to do everything possible to get this up and running, we're going to start working, and no time wasted. It's going to be 6 to 12 months. We're going to get this factory up and running. And then literally 5 or 6 days later, there hasn't been anything. There's not even a tractor there. There's not even a site to. It just, I find it, and we'll see what happens. I don't want to diss it. I just can't touch the stock with a 10-foot pole. Looking to kind of trade it between 50 percentile move and 618. So basically, that downward support's kind of coming around $26 to $27. If it starts breaking and kind of leveling off here around $33, we could be seeing a little bit more rally here. But with earnings on the horizon, I just literally have to step back and scoot back in my seat and just like I just can't touch it. I won't be able to look at this. This is too much movement here, and I really can't. It's just too much of a gamble. It's literally, this one is literally you're playing Russian roulette. Could you look at Chegg? It's been one of my focuses this week. Yes, Chegg, Robert, that is a great. Give you a little round of applause there. I love Chegg. Chegg, we bought into Chegg a couple days ago. Basically on this dip here to the 21. We didn't buy it exactly at the 21, but it has been a very nice performer. Where we have the same. My overall idea about this is like, not many schools are opening back up, and parents or things are going to be looking at buying textbooks and other various things to help their kids out, tutoring, whatever. Chegg is going to be your main stop, and Chegg is going to be able to really capitalize on this just in the university level, and then of course even at potentially the high school and even lower levels as well, if they're able to come out with some more innovative products. With this one, it's going to be difficult to kind of give you some price targets because, again, it has run up so much. Since I'm kind of trading it on the longer term, I'm going to give it to you on the weekly side. So the previous high to low, we're really looking for around $84.84 for the next potential price target there to hit that. So that's around the 2618. So 84.84 price target. Again, the next one after that is being around 121. But since it hasn't really had much of a pullback, we can kind of see that really play out there to around 84.84. We can do a really simplistic one here as well. So we can do from that one to this one, and we can see here it's basically coming in around $89. So anywhere from 84.84 up to $90 basically is going to be the initial price or potential zone for myself to take a little bit of my position off to take some profits if it gets to that level, and then of course after that I'm probably going to be looking around $100 for that profit there for Chegg. They have earnings this week as well. Clay, thank you for joining, my friend. Another great stock. My gosh, you guys are so awesome for bringing some great stocks to the table today. I really do appreciate it. So we have Square. So going from Chegg to Square. Square is another position we bought in basically here on that dip here. Looking for around $140. If it starts breaking above with a strong earnings, which I think, I don't want to say, again, earnings is a coin flip, anything can happen. But that 133 price target is going to be some overhead resistance here. But if the earnings and everything can continue going, because we have that squeeze developing here with RSI slightly climbing, and at the same time the volume zone oscillator is also climbing, we really could see that movement in that threshold break through the previous high and get up to the 140 price target. So that is also that for the downside support really going to come into the 21, because we've seen here multiple times the 21 has came in for support. So support is going to be around the $121.70 price target there. Let's see here. Ryan, Ken, you're a great teacher. Thank you. I don't think I am, but I thank you. Yeah, Chegg. We love Chegg. Josh, Ken, what's SPY gonna do? You think? I'm down $1,100 on credit spreads for tomorrow. Did you do call credit spreads? Like, what did you do on SPY? Did you sell? Were you trying to short it there, Josh? I would like to know what you did there, honestly. Because if you try to, I think again, anything can happen. That the amount of strength that we saw come in end of Friday, that could continue into the early morning hours, but then we're basically going to come into whatever else is going on in the world, and people kind of forget about what's happening. Potentially really seeing that break to potentially $330. I'm just more interested on Josh. Oh, okay, you're trying to short it. Yeah, that's going to be difficult. So you have the options that are expiring on Monday or Tuesday or something like that. I don't want to call you out, but you didn't give yourself that much time for those options to really work out. I understand that you're trying to be, you played it right in the sense of potentially looking at here, but that movement was just so strong. I don't think anyone really saw this coming, and this would have just slapped anyone across the face. But yeah, that's going to be a very difficult one. You can always try to roll it, but you might have to pay quite much of a debit to get out of that play, honestly. I'm sorry, my friend. Johnny Bravo, what's up, my friend? BTG. So this is a gold miner. Yeah, these gold stocks and everything has just been flying through the roof, and they've been performing super well. Really hitting, this looks like an all-time high. Like, this is crazy. Let me do here on the weekly chart. We do a fib here from the previous swing high to the swing low here. Oh, click please for Papa. There we go. And of course you didn't click. There we go. Yeah, this thing is pretty gangbusters here. It really broke through that 618 percentile move. Basically at $6.60. Looking for this potentially, if it starts hitting the again, we're looking on the weekly side. If it starts hitting that top band of the RSI, we could potentially see some selling here. There isn't really much overhead resistance until basically $9 on the fib numbers, but that doesn't mean that the $7 or a round number can really just take this lower. But that being said, this thing has just been skyrocketed. If you're not in it, it's hard to tell you to get into it right now, and I wouldn't be wanting to short this because, again, there's a lot of momentum behind this, and it really could run and just really destroy you. Brian, NIO, please. Yes, we can look at NIO as well. NIO, yeah, the Chinese Tesla, we can call it. Multiple gap ups, super strong. Now kind of trading sideways. That 5 and 8 are starting to kind of start leveling off here with the 21. We're seeing a lot of consolidation around this period. We're seeing a squeeze particular form here. That 21 is still holding here. Starts breaking below like $11.50. Would need to potentially see some downside support around $10.66. That being said, be mindful of that. If this can kind of hold a 21, doesn't mean that it can close below it. It needs to stay close to the 21. We can start seeing some highs if it can really turn itself around to get above that $14 price target there. Yeah, I saw that stuff with Trevor and Kathy Wood really going at it. I thought that was kind of funny. Knights, what about AMD? Yes, someone said a thing about AMD. AMD, of course, was the winner chicken dinner for myself and a lot of other folks, getting out of that range last week and really just skyrocketing higher with a fantastic quarter and just like a beautiful looking chart. We're really looking for this to kind of start maybe not selling off, but looking to kind of start leveling off. Yeah, that being said, the overhead next price target we have is around $95. That is quite substantial where we're currently at. Basically, $18-ish where we're currently at. Potentially can go higher, but if the overall market is pumping green and they're taking their steroids and taking their vitamins, this can easily go up to $95 without a doubt. I'm not going to speculate it can't. Anything can happen. But that's going to need a lot of momentum and a lot of movement. We're seeing the RSI kind of hover at the overbought level, and the volume zone oscillator is nowhere near where it needs to be to really give that jet fuel to go higher. Yeah, so yeah, PayPal did very good, so Square should do as well. Yeah, apples and bananas kind of thing, yeah. Ironic Gaming, what does anyone think of BioLife Solutions? Never heard of it, but we'll look at the stock. BLFS. Interesting, looks a little too choppy. Previous looking thing, looking at the high previously at 26, so we can kind of do a quick fib here. Looks like it failed here multiple times at the 78.6 percentile move, which is around $22.30. You saw that fail here all the way back basically in the beginning of 19. We're seeing it here basically in 2020 again. If it can hold basically above $19 with earnings on the horizon, we could see some potential movement. It looks like earnings last time was pretty good. Again, if we can get above that $22.30, we could see potential higher movement, but this thing has a lot of overhead pressure basically at $22.30. Seeing if this can trade higher, potential downside support. This on the daily side is going to be basically here around 19. If it really starts breaking lower, it's going to be looking around 16.86 there for some downside support. Rock, what's up, my friend? Yeah, we have not done spot. We can do spot. Spot. So that's the Spotify company. This thing, I think it just had too much of an earnings run, and expectations just got way too far ahead of itself, and folks were just really hoping to go to the moon. even though because it signed contracts with Michelle Obama, one of the Jenners or whatever they're called, and then what's the other guy? Joe Rogan. That really propelled the stock substantially higher and really just made it really go parabolic for a little bit. Then kind of leveled off a little bit, but now it's kind of coming into the 21 and 34. This pattern is a little scary in the sense of the 5 and 8. If that 5 and 8 cross through the 21 and that tick starts closing below the 250 range, we could be seeing some potential downside coming down to the 50-day. Again, they're heavy growth company, so they're investing a lot in their growth and things like that. So a lot of the times the analysts are not really a big fan of that, so we can kind of need to play that game on what F the analyst basically. Basically, we're looking for that 5 and 8 to cross over to the short side if you're on the short side. On the long side, we really need to hold above that 250 price target and start breaking below that 34 EMA. We could be seeing some downside, so just be super mindful of that, Rock. Paulo, I turned 3K into 15K and lost it all. I'm sorry to hear that. That happens. I've done that as well. Oh, my darn thing just updated again. Vincent, what's up, my friend? What about SPAQ? What is that? It sounds really... Oh, this is the smart energy company that's buying... what's that other car company? Like I want it starts with an F, like Fitcher Care, whatever, the car company. Again, it's a SPAC. We'll see how it plays out. I'm not the biggest fan of SPACs speculating, but this thing has kind of broken below where I want it to look at. It's bouncing off the 50-day here. If you want to put in $100 or $50 or a small speculative play or whatever you can lose and not lose sleep over, it's worth it maybe for basically a speculative play. But that being said, I don't want to be investing in this because it broke below the 21. It's below the 34. Yes, it's a SPAC and it's completely speculative, but that 5 and 8 are starting to cross to the 21. We could potentially see some downside. The candle is looking fairly strong, but it's a SPAC, so it's going to be very speculative for me. Yeah, Fisker, that's it. Thank you, Fisker. I can't remember that name. Thank you. Let's see here. Okay, sorry, my thing just updated, so I'm trying to go through here real fast. Jake, we have Markel's Monte. Yeah, Tesla. Yeah, we can look at Tesla and Apple really fast. So Tesla is actually in a very interesting range, just kind of like NIO. It's kind of run up, and now it's kind of consolidating, kind of waiting for those moving averages to kind of catch up. So this period is basically called the rest period, base building, taking a break, whatever you want to call it, and just kind of just trading in this range here. A lot of people get shaken out because they're just like, oh, the stock's not going anywhere. What am I supposed to do? I want to make money, and they just get a little bit. They don't have the fortitude or the patience to hold it, even though it's the stocks can, yeah, whatever reasons. I'm not going to go into some people's brains and how they're wired, but it's very important to understand that people really just get flushed out here because they're just like, oh, the stock's not going anywhere, it's going to crash. No, the trend's still intact. It's holding the 21. It's not breaking below it. There's nothing crazy going on here. RSI is not coming crashing down to the 0. The volume zone oscillator is not looking pretty, but we sold off pretty heavy due to whatever reason. People just kind of rotating out of it. But if we can stay above that 14-15 price target, it's going to be a great move. Really, if it can get down to 1330 as well, and that trend will still be intact for the most part. Even though we haven't really touched the 34 basically this whole way up, that 21 has basically just been a line in the sand of just saying, nope, Tesla, you're not crossing this damn thing. So looking for this to, if this holds, the 34 is potentially to hold here, but I think it's just kind of just base building. But this, again, it's a Tesla. It can move drastically, so just be mindful of that. And things can change if Elon tweets or something like that, without a doubt. Kelly, you're talking about Tesla. We'll look at, Apple. So AAPL. So they got a split coming up. A lot of folks, I hope people understand this. When a stock split happens, it doesn't mean you get free money. It doesn't mean the value is still the same. So if you had $20,000 in Tesla or an AMD, or if you had $10,000 in Apple, you're going to have $10,000 in August if you don't touch anything. You're just going to have a more higher quantity of shares. They're doing a 4-to-1 split, meaning that for every one share that you have now, you're going to get 4. Again, that's going to be happening sometime in the end of August, and we'll see how with the trade stocks. I think normally Apple being a huge, the largest company in the world, basically trading at well over $1.8 billion market cap, we're going to potentially see that 618 to break tomorrow at the $426 price target, and this thing could run with a lot of gas, to the 469. That's going to be a huge stretch to get to that level, but it can happen. But it can also happen and come down to the initial support, basically around 400. It can easily, looking for the very short-term support around 411, and then really strong support on the previous high around the $399 to $400 price target there. Jake, TSM, yep, we can look at TSM. TSM, like we talked about, had a huge movement on earnings and just gapped up and just really flying off here to the races. We talked about potentially stalling out around $88. Never really hit to that level. Now we're seeing that kind of stalling. Stalling doesn't mean bad. This is not like a Cessna here where it's stalling its engine. And what stalling means, basically just kind of taking a break. It's used a lot of momentum, a lot of energy to get up to these levels. And guess what? I'm a bigger guy. If I'm climbing up a hill, I need to take a break and take some water. So imagine this TSM just sitting up here, got on top of the hill, and now just taking a water, maybe taking a granola bar and just kind of relaxing to kind of get that energy going to kind of get above 88. To the downside, we're looking to the 21, so around $70, $71 to the downside support there. Buy Apple calls, got my AAPL, PAI. Okay, looks like the chat's moving pretty fast again, like things get just updated. APL is going to run into the split, and then I think it runs out after it sells off. Yeah, I think, again, those splits, for some reason, just kind of create a frenzy in the market, and people just think that's free money, and they just kind of come running in there and buying it up. We saw it with Apple previously multiple times. We saw it with Netflix as well. That kind of created that environment there. Alex, let's see here. Sorry, sorry, Chegg. I've been writing with ZM, DocU, Square. Yeah. Any of those virus plays are very smart. Could you look at W earnings Wednesday, and I think it beats them. So W is Wayfair. Oh my gosh, I haven't looked at this one for a while. This thing is looks like a monster here. Whew. This thing, yeah, that is my only afraid and fear here, Robert, is that it has maybe potentially run too much into earnings, and we could potentially have seen the earnings move already play out. And what's the earning move saying for this week? So $40. Yikes! $40 is quite a bit. Yeah, that's going to be a difficult one without a doubt. I can't. It's going to have a lot of momentum. Let's look at the previous swing high to low on the weekly side. Look at that. You looking at this? You looking at this, Robert? So it's basically hit the 618 from I'm on the weekly. Sorry, I'm on the weekly side. So the previous swing high to low on the weekly chart, it's literally hit the slightly above the 266.16. Again, that's a pretty key significant level. The next level higher would be at $417 if that can get moving. But anything can happen without a doubt. We're looking for that price target again. Saying $40 plus or minus. This thing has moving drastically. I get Wayfair emails and things all the time in my mailbox, in my inbox, all the time. I think they're doing just fine on the fundamental side, but anything can happen. Being mindful of this is gonna be a difficult one to trade if you're in it, and you can't sleep at night. It might be a good thing to take a little bit of money off the table, but I can't be buying into this with earnings without a doubt. This is going to be a very tough rider without a doubt. Alex, thinking about getting Fastly and Twilio calls into, what do you think? So Alex, they both have earnings this week, so I normally will not buy calls for earnings plays because, again, with theta decay and just the overall momentum of, hey, it really needs to perform very well. And I'm not very much a fast trader, so it doesn't play to my wheelhouse in the sense of getting in and out of a trade or something like that. But great looking stocks, though. They're all great looking stocks. Looking for that movement with Fastly basically to break above that $97 price target and really start breaking to the previous high around the 103 price target and really getting up to 110. This movement looks super strong here. This really kind of came down, again, took that break, ate that granola bar, and now it's looking to get higher to basically the 110 price target, getting there to see how that plays out. And then what was the other one you said? Twilio? Yeah, Twilio also reports this week as well. Oh, of course, why did it type it? Because Thinkorswim is silly. Yeah, same play. Super. This is a crazy move. Yeah, with earnings on the horizon, this could be coin flip. I can't be buying into earnings, especially calls. What I would be potentially doing is selling some puts, basically around the 240 or the 250 range, and I'll maybe get a couple bucks there, just to play some IV plays there. We did look at Chegg. They're having earnings tomorrow. Yeah. So Chegg, again, is on our radar. We bought in a couple days ago around 72, 73. This thing is looking pretty saucy. We're basically looking for $84 to $90 to potentially go higher to the upside. Basically, a first level price target of taking some profits around 85. To the downside, we're looking for potentially 72 support and then down to 69 to $68 there for downward support. Yeah, Wayfair is definitely going to be a fun play there, Robert. So be very careful with that. Or you're buying shares. John, looking at buying Uber August 14, $33 call, Microsoft August 2010, and what does that say? T-Mobile August 23. I can look at those stocks. Let's look at Uber. I think this we can look at Uber. Uber was an interesting play because I saw some really strange options activity going really far out on this stock. So this one has been really interesting here. Really looking for that to the downside potentially. With earnings on the horizon, it's going to be a coin flip as well. So be mindful of that. Really just kind of trading lower here, bouncing here at the lower end of this trading box that we kind of created here. So just breaking below this is not going to be a good look for it, and we could potentially see some potential further downside, and we can kind of calculate that as well. So let's go ahead, go to here. So what we're going to do is the Fibonacci extensions here. So we're going to do the previous swing high to the low, and to the high here. So again, potential price target around 27.62 if that starts breaking lower to the downside, with earnings on the horizon as well coming out this week. This has weekly options, so they're looking for around $2.50 move. Again, it's a $30 stock. That's pretty substantial. That can take it down easily to the $27 price target. To really get this thing up and moving and really go gangbusters, we need to see it above the 200-day moving average, which is basically around $32. That is also possible with that earnings movement there, but it really needs to get a lot of momentum to break through a couple ceilings of resistance to really get to that level going higher. I think, can Uber Eats do it? I'm not sure, but we'll see how that plays out. I have nothing in Uber at all, so. So Uber, Microsoft, 61 call. Microsoft, we look at Microsoft. Microsoft, kind of that same kind of play. It had a huge run up. Now it's slightly consolidating here. I like this movement. You're looking at the 110. That's somewhat reasonable, but that's a lot of movement. What's the movement for this week? I don't think it's $5. Oh, it is $5. Okay. Well, you might have that call down then. So I'm looking for a $7 move. Really need to start seeing it above 208 to have this trend really kick back into gear and potentially go higher. We do have a squeeze in place, slightly sloppy. The volume zone's kind of coming back from the depth or death here and trying to go positive. So again, are they going to buy TikTok? I don't know. I'm not going to be speculating and trading on that particular note because again, let's see how that plays out. That's kind of a strange thing for them to have LinkedIn and then also have TikTok. I don't know how it fits in, but again, it's free money for Microsoft. They can just print money, right? Just make the Xbox cost $2 more for everyone, and they can buy TikTok. Timothy LPX. So this one looks interesting. So the previous swing high to the previous swing low really broke below that, above that $30 price target. We like that. That momentum still climbing with earnings on the horizon, so it's going to be kind of a question mark for me. Really looking for the $34 to the upside. Next ceiling of resistance to the downside, we're looking for some support around the 21, or basically where the 78 percentile move comes in. With earnings coming out, you said on the 4th, we can look at the trade tab. They don't have weekly options, so it can't really give you an accurate look at, but they're saying the 21st is basically $3. Kind of gauging on previous earnings, it kind of looked fairly, looks little question marks at times, but that can be looking at, again, downside support basically around $30. To the upside, we're looking for 34. So that's kind of keeping in that little tight trading range there. Ryan, stop it. Definitely puts on Maxwell. Alley Freak. OPK 30% revenue increase on testing, betting, Quest, and LabCorp. This is a must play. Go long, trust me. I just met you. I'm not going to trust OPK. Let's look at it. Yeah, this has kind of been like a FOMO trade here. Kind of a penny stock, well below $1 price target, so I'm not really my wheelhouse of companies that I trade. Really running up here, looking, again, speculative play. It's holding that 21, that trend somewhat around the 21 and 34 potentially. With earnings, it kind of wasn't great. That's kind of selling off, looking for its support around $4.80. If it can't hold that, we're looking down to well below $4.27 to the downside. Again, anything can happen in the market, but this is not really my kind of wheelhouse of things. So this is not, again, the stock was $7. It's kind of crazy. So what we can kind of do here is on a Fibonacci retracement from the previous swing high to the low, we're really hitting that band of resistance around $5.93. If it can't break above that, it's going to be looking again, if it starts going sub $5 to come around the $4.18 price target there, my friend. Pete, someone asked about ENPH. Nope, I don't know what that is, but we can look at it. Okay, it looks like I did some analysis on this before. Never heard of it, but there's my notes. That's why I love Thinkorswim. It's basically just trading in between the range between the 78 and 61 percentile moves, so around $63.40 and $57 to $58. Just trading in this range. Looks like it has earnings on the horizon as well. On the 4th, this does not have weekly options as well, so it can't give you an accurate price target of what the options market are saying. But this thing looks, again, somewhat nominal. RSI is getting slightly getting higher. Momentum's kind of coming down. The volume's been very light here compared to previous weeks, which is kind of strange. Exactly not sure what exactly it's some kind of energy company. With this momentum kind of slightly could kick off and move higher. Again, that 21 has been pretty strong support to the downside. With earnings, again, I could guess where it could go, because again, earnings is a coin flip. Really looking, if it wants to go higher, it needs to break above that $64 price target, because you've seen some overhead resistance here, failing here basically 4 times on 4 separate days, and really need to see that curl higher to kind of break above that if you're long that stock. Vincent, can you describe a good sell the put play where theta is on your side? Thanks. So selling puts is a great thing to do around earnings, but you have to be somewhat careful. So for example, I like the company ServiceNow. I didn't know how the quarter is going to be, because again, earnings is a complete coin flip. So I looked at the chart. I was like, okay, around the 21 and 34 has been some really strong support to the downside. I looked at what the moving was, basically the expected move for that week. I went further out around of that move, so if it said $10, I just rounded it to 15. And then I sold puts for that week, $15 outside of the expected move. And then again, you're just going to be collecting a little bit of shekels, as they call it, on that premium. You're not going to be making thousands of dollars. You're going to be making $50, $60, $70, depending on how far you go out and how many of those puts you sell. But $80 over 10 different plays of that week of earnings things can really make a nice dent in your a nice movement in your overall portfolio. So I think I sold like the $420 put. It did come down pretty close to it. But it actually, maybe I sold it a little further out, because again, I think I sold the 34. I sold like the 415 put. I think I collected maybe $75 of premium on it. I bought a put a little bit above it too. So it kind of came down here. Was a little scared of it, but it kind of held here and then kind of really bounced back with the overall market. And again, I sold it for a nice premium, and I also collected maybe 75 to 80% of what I sold it for. So it was a nice little play there. All right, looks like chat is picking up. Thank you for everyone for coming out. And if you haven't done it already, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. It helps a lot. Tim BNGO seems like a winner for me. Trading sideways for a week and a half now. Never heard of that one. BNGO. Yeah, I think you talked about this one previously. This is well below a penny stock, and you have 15,000 shares at $75. Ooh, 75 cents. I got nothing to comment there, my friend. That's not my wheelhouse. Sorry. It's just below the 200-day here. It could jump up. Yeah, it could jump up to $4 again. I'm not going to be, unless you know the CEO like Kodak who magically got some shares a week prior to the announcement. But yeah, we'll see how that plays out. Let's see here. Tim MOGO. Is that another penny stock, Tim? Come on, Tim. You can do better than that. OSTK. Is this another penny stock? Okay, there we go. Overstock. So Overstock, if you don't know, they got into the Bitcoin business, and now I guess they're a pharmaceutical company. I don't know. I'm making that up. I don't know. Of course, they're doing very well, like Wayfair, and everyone just buying online, like Amazon, and just really going to the sky here, hitting all-time highs. Like, it's absolutely insane. What we can do here is on a weekly side, we can look from the previous swing high to the low here, really kind of breaking above that $71.12 price target. Really looking to see this could potentially get above that previous high to around $90. Again, if it has a really fantastic quarter, which looked like it did, and really drove it higher, that momentum can continue with the onslaught of other various things to see this potentially go up to $89.88. Let's see here. The Mets lost again. Are they? Is MLB gonna come? Like, my Cardinals have been getting crushed. Johnny Bravo, I got pizza, so I'm just sitting here eating. Johnny, what kind of pizza you got? Tim, I can't do BNGO. That's a penny stock, and OCG. I don't know what the hell that is. Domino's. Oh, that's a penny stock. I can't touch that, Tim. Julie, XLY. Interesting. So someone actually with a nice little trade here, and this is consumer discretion, right? Yeah. So this is interesting. Again, this is kind of a play on. Is Amazon still in this ETF? It's considered consumer discretion. For this one, potentially, it's been trading very well between that 5 and 8 moving averages. 21 again for that support. Potentially looking for that $145.71 price target here. To the downside, it'd be looking for 132, basically where that 34 kind of lines up. That looks very interesting. Both the RSI and volumes on Oscillator are kind of nominal, but this looks pretty interesting to the long side. I think that the 140 price target could be intact and in range. You've seen that I've traded this before. I did kind of some wedge patterns here. Let me get this out of the way. Yeah, looks like a bunch of chopsticks there or something. With this one around, again, hitting an all-time high just last week, this could easily go with that momentum. Again, that strength going higher to the 145 price target. So very interesting play. Really good looking stock though. Yeah, I love that SpaceX stuff. That was fantastic how the astronauts coming back. Vincent, thanks for explanation. When you sell a put, is it advantage when the price of the stock goes up? Yes. So basically, the reason I like to sell puts or calls, depending, it's really hard to sell calls right now because everything's just basically going up. So what you want to do, the stock can do three things, right? A stock can go up, it can go sideways, or it can go down. So when you sell a put, you're basically just saying it's going to trade sideways or it's going to go up. And if you're going to sell a call, you just want it to trade sideways and go down. That's the best way to look at it. Tim, I really don't see Tesla going higher. It's a cool company, but don't get me wrong, but each time it moves up, the bar gets hit higher and higher. Tim, to a certain extent, I agree with you, but I think the long-term trend is still higher since I have shares in it. Not saying this is boasting my overall position, but I think that the expectations just got way ahead of itself in the previous quarter. Marcus, pins had a huge breakup gap on. Yes, pins. That's yeah. So this one has just been gangbusters. We talked about it on the last live stream last Sunday. And don't forget, everyone, to slam that like button. And if you're interested on joining the Dyslexic Investor Club, you can hit that little join button down below as well. So definitely check that out if you considered helping and joining the Dyslexic Investor Club there. Some really cool perks there, so definitely check that out. So that being said, again, with pins was in a very tight range between the $24 and $27 price range. And then with earnings, even though it lost money, it still went higher, maybe on user growth and engagement, and it's really broke above that $31 price target, basically having a large deviation move. So by the deviation move, we can look at here. So the green line is 1 deviation, the purple pink line is 2, and the red is 3. And like AMD had a large deviation move as well. So this thing has literally gone through all these really strong bands and just really getting up to that 31, well past that $31 price target, closing at nearly $35. And that is a very strong, significant move. Again, with these IPO stocks that have kind of been beaten down, but this is kind of coming back from the grave and potentially looking for $36 price target ahead. This is a large move. We've seen these moves before in stocks. Normally, two things can happen: that this can continue going higher and just kind of trade sideways in around this range, or it can just come somewhat down to earth again and kind of wait for these moving averages to kind of catch up, to kind of give it a pat on the back to get its next leg higher. But this is a large move, already intaked, huge amount of volume coming in, potentially just could be trading sideways and potentially even touching that $36 price target up there. Johnny Bravo, I got Pizza Hut, I own Yum shares. You think just like how I think, Johnny Bravo. I was like, okay, what stock do I have? Do I own? I'm like, okay, I own blah, blah, blah. I need to support Home Depot or whatever. What you guys think about Intel? Oh, Intel, poor Intel. This thing has been not the world's greatest performer here, with Intel really just kind of getting it's basically getting curb stomped by AMD. No other way to put it. Looking for potential downside support if it continues going lower to around 45. It's looking like it wants to kind of start building a base here. The only thing is that this is a pretty drastic down gap, and it takes quite a bit of time to stop this bleeding and recovering, and seeing how this plays out. Between the 5 and 8 moving averages, we need to start seeing this curl sideways, potentially again, maybe start trading around the $50 price target, but potentially can come down to 45 without a doubt. So be mindful of that. Be very careful at this play. It's very hard to just buy the dip on this stock. There's been a lot of damage and it's going to take a lot of work to kind of get this back on track, if it ever does, honestly. You're telling me, Johnny Bravo. We traded a lot of dominoes. Thoughts on Monday's open since STEM didn't get passed this weekend. So the futures market, it's nothing. It's just somewhat nominal. So we can look here on, excuse me, excuse me, bless myself. So the futures are not really selling off here, Julio. Even with the stimulus check, like I think that is a pretty component for a lot of folks, but I think that a lot of those folks are never going to be looking at that movement in those in the market there, because again, the S&P 500 is basically flat right now. Gold's going up, Nasdaqs are definitely going up, but the Russell is the one I'll be looking at. If the stimulus check doesn't do well, the Russell will be the one that's going to be hit the most, I think. Because again, that's going to be the companies that really deal with a lot of the public here in the United States. Tim, never mind, LOL, you'll be mad. I don't get mad, Tim. I just can't trade it, and I just can't give you advice on it or kind of give you my opinion on that particular stocks. Tim, you said, oh, Shop. Alex says Shop. Yeah, we look at Shop. That thing has been really well, with the really strong earnings as well, really coming out here, popping higher. Again, this thing has just been super strong here through this overall pandemic, and just been crazy strong here, and just continue grinding higher. I can't even sum it up on how much this has gone up. Basically, at the low of basically 3 years ago it was $88. Now it's $1,100, and like it's crazy, right? It just blows my mind. Okay, with this one, we have another squeeze setting up here, potentially seeing it come down to the 8 or even the 21, so we're on 970 to kind of start trade sideways for the next potential leg higher or the next kick higher to see how that plays out. We'll see how that basically plays out. But this one is just, again, it's kind of having some overhead pressure around the 11 or 1071. I know it broke well above 1100 for a little bit, but you're seeing it has not closed above this previous high here around the 1070 price target. So we'll see on how that plays out. If this can kind of consolidate, we do have a squeeze setting up, but the volume oscillator and RSI need to kind of start getting together and start going higher there. Tim, look at MELI. I promise you it's not a penny stock. This is, what is this? Whoa. That's definitely not a penny stock, is it, Tim? This looks super strong. Is this the company that I think it is? Maybe not. Let's see here. Swing high. Let's make sure it's correct here. So previous swing high to swing low, well broke above that 960. Potentially looking for the next price target around 1297 for that upside resistance here. Downward support. It's been holding that 21 fairly well. We kind of got a little bit of volatility here again with the overall market, but now kind of skyrocketing. Look at it like it has earnings on the 6th this week, so be mindful. This should have weekly earnings, so $145 plus or minus $145. Looks like last earnings was gangbusters as well and just went flying. Again, probably due to the overall virus and profiting from it very well. has this run up pre-earnings? I'm not sure. With a coin flip, it's going to be a difficult one to buy if it closed on an all-time high on Friday. That being said, I can't go running out and buy this. It needs to kind of come back down around, let's just call around $1,000 to $1,015 for some downside support for me to be able to even chew on it. What you say about Apple? Apple is completely flying off its chain, and there is really basically, I think that overall enthusiasm and exponential expression of greedy and potential upside pressure from that split could easily drive this price substantially higher. But that being said, anything can happen in the market. That price target for initially we're looking at, if it can really go gangbusters, is basically around 470. To the downside, we're really looking for 400 to 410 there to kind of see that kind of hold between those levels there. But I don't know why Apple's not going out and buying all these companies. Like, why doesn't Apple just buy TikTok? I know it doesn't fit their portfolio, but they have all this cash. Any ideas on silver gold pairs trade? I don't do many pairs trades, but I think with those metal stocks and things like that, someone told me that I should look at copper. One of their trading friends was like, look what copper can. Copper's the next big move. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll have to look at copper. I need to write that down. I should look at copper. We'll see how that plays out. Thoughts on Bitcoin and crypto? I don't really have an opinion on Bitcoin or crypto, but we can kind of look at the price here. I think I had some analysis on this before. No, I didn't. So we could do the previous high to low here. Again, had that huge gap up, looking for around 10,726 to hold. If that can't hold, we're potentially looking down to well below 10,000 again. That 21 could come in, but I think with the crypto's movement and that the overall substantial movement in that can really just cut through the 21. Overhead resistance going to be around that previous high on the daily side, around 12,505 there to the upside. So be very mindful of that. So just be very careful. Again, I don't trade cryptos. I got rid of my Bitcoins way back in actually 18. So, AMD looks great. I love AMD. Might see a little bit of trading sideways though, or potential a little bit of selling to kind of some people just taking some profits there. Let's see here. Ken, what do you think about iron condors? I love them, but you have to be very careful. I skew them a little bit differently. So, the thing with iron condors, it's hard to play on tech companies because they just move so much. Could be very dangerous if you don't play them right and you don't roll them out. So if they start going against you, you need to get out of them, or you need to roll the position up or down the strike prices. And it takes a little bit more maintenance than I like to do. But as of right now, everything's just been going flying higher, so it's really hard to sell calls on a lot of stocks. So I'm just basically doing a lot of selling of puts, and I am buying some calls, further dated calls in companies that are like 180 to 365 days out. Would you mess with junior miners of 3x bull leverage gold stocks? I'm normally not a big fan of those 3x leverage stocks because it could be really much. They're really just considered there for like trading, day trading, and Yeah, this is crazy. Yeah, MELI is definitely a beast, yes. But this one, yeah, this thing just been beaten down. Really just trying to, again, the fund really has to figure out what they're doing here and start levering up the right prices. And it seems like they're just trying to figure out that momentum going here. I'd rather just buy like GLD or silver ETFs. Jonathan FB puts, what's your opinion? Facebook puts, are you selling them or are you buying them? I'm guessing the way you sound it, you want to short this. So if you want to short Facebook, what you need to see is, again, it had a huge gap up, so a lot of movement to the upside. Can it collapse? Yes. Could it come down? Yes. With the overall market, I don't know. You're really just betting on this really start to give out. That could be an interesting play, but with Facebook, it's going to be very difficult to just straight short it. So we can see that play out here. Really, to the downside support is going to be around 250 here, and then if you really start seeing that break, and the real break, it needs to be coming around the 226. That could you could see some selling there. To that 226 potentially coming down to the 207. So normally, I'm not a great person to short stocks. I don't have, again, I'm not very fast on the mouse. I'm not constantly looking at the screen, so that's the thing as well. So I'm not. You really have to get your timing right. Like, you could get a quick flash crash, and you really have to have your orders in straight condition to be able to get in and out of those trades very fast. So not really my cup of tea to go short this. If you're trying to do it more longer term, we can look on the weekly side. But that momentum is just super strong here on the weekly side. If it starts breaking below, again, like that 225, 220, then it could be potentially some aggressive shorts there coming in, and just some downward pressure going there. Clint Rogers, what's up, my friend? How you doing, my friend? Welcome back. Yeah, this week's going to be very interesting without a doubt to see some earnings play. LRN, we did LRN, didn't we, Timothy? Were you there? LR, is that the one I just did? No, I didn't. Okay, I'm sorry. LRN, so basically this thing, we kind of did talk about this. It's really kind of hovering around not being able to break above the $50 price range. So $50 is basically going to be that ceiling of resistance there. That ceiling of resistance is basically just kind of keeping it suppressed here, and not really seeing that potentially go higher here. With earnings on the horizon, anything could change. So that's coming out the 11th. So they don't have weekly options for that. So that's a kind of a bummer. This could potentially kind of just trade sideways into earnings. Again, trading sideways could mean it could bounce between $50 and $42 aggressively, because it's kind of had a huge run up. Again, like we talked about, imagine you're hiking up a large hill. You need to take a break. You need to take some water. You need to eat that granola bar, whatever. And you need to kind of wait for these moving averages to kind of catch up. So the moving averages now kind of catch up, maybe potentially tap the 21, maybe get close to the 21, and kind of see it start climbing higher. This really looks like a wants to really break above 50 here, honestly. But that being said, it really needs to prove itself for me to do that, or to even trade it, honestly, to have that really play out and really be a performer in that. Yeah, Warren Buffett owns a lot of Apple for sure. So he's going to have a lot of harsh position in that. But remember, his capital allocation doesn't change. Just the quantity of shares go up. Tim, ideas on SPOT. SPOT is actually one that looks actually somewhat interesting for a potential short if it starts breaking lower. But the momentum's still somewhat there. The signs for this to break, it needs to break below 250 to 245. And the 5 and 8 really need to cross through it. That squeeze needs to fire short, but this thing could look like, but again, it could be consolidating here, but it really needs to prove itself. The ticks need to close below 250 and have the 5 and 8 move through it with the TTM squeeze here to fire short here to the downside. If that doesn't work, and if it basically starts holding support around 250, 245, just trade sideways. 5 and 8 kind of start curling and getting basically parallel to the 21. We could just see this kind of trade size for a potential just rest period and then kick higher or lower from that period, but it hasn't proved itself to us on the direction it wants to take though. John, Roku looks like it's ready for an earnings pop IV. Expecting more upside skews despite recent consolidation. Maybe a good one to sell premium on. I'm just watching for day trade options. Okay. Yeah, so I agree with you on that. I like the way you're thinking. Just kind of collecting that premium. You're playing a little bit more of the safer side of things. With this one, yes, the move is pretty big. I think it's like $21 for this week. $21 can take you up to that overhead resistance around 176 to the downside to 131-ish. Those are basically what we're looking for. The trading range on this one here, and seeing how that plays out. It is really consolidating here at the $150 price target. Again, I think it's just really expecting on earnings how that plays out, and then we'll get that move from there. Alan, hey, what's up? Alexander, second opinion on PR. Was it PRPL? Oh yeah, this is the purple mattress. So this thing again. I have a purple. I actually have two purple mattresses. They're not. They're in different rooms. The ones in the guest room. So the 1272 extension is basically the previous overhead resistance. It really did break out here. It's pretty strong to the 1618. I think this is basically somewhat of the, I want to call it the future, but with the overall understanding of like, hey, I don't want to go into a store anymore to purchase my goods. Sorry to get some water. It's been choking on my throat. Where I don't want to go in the store to purchase a mattress anymore. I just want to buy a mattress from the guys who make funny infomercials of purple. That being said, we're looking at basically the 1618 to hold, so around $23. Again, potential upside to $34.93. That's going to be the next ceiling of resistance. I know that's super far off. I don't think this has weekly options, so it's looking for a $6 move basically to the mid of August. That can bring it up to like $30, but with earnings question mark here around the 13th, this could be consolidating here. This earning move could have already been in play. To the downside, we're looking for basically $20, from anywhere from $20 to $19 for support to the downside, if it can consolidate there. But we just had a squeeze. It fired long. The RSI is kind of looking at overbought here. We've seen this here previous before on a huge earnings run. And then again, but it came down due to the overall pandemic and really sold off here. Even with its previous earnings, it really skyrocketed higher, but it gave a lot of it back here, which is kind of strange. So this would be a very difficult one to trade without a doubt. That being said, be mindful that this could easily come back to around $19 if the folks don't like it or doesn't meet the numbers that XYZ analyst says. Because I can't imagine many analysts following this particular company right now. Ken, what is your thoughts on where LVGO? Yeah, that thing's pretty. It's going to the moon. No, this thing looks super well performing here. Really just riding up that 21 EMA and holding that 5 and 8 exponential moving average and just continue to grind higher. hitting an all-time high on Friday. Into earnings coming this week. This is just a super strong stock. RSI is super highly elevated. Let me look on the weekly side. Yeah, this thing looks super strong. It's going to be a very difficult one to trade. Really need to be patient and potentially see it that kind of come back to the 21. If you're not that patient, you really need to start waiting for it to come back around 117 to 118 if you want to kind of buy some shares or around that price target there. Sebastian, what's up, my friend? LMND. Is this the lemonade? Okay, so this is the insurance company, correct? So this is, again, a newer IPO. So for me, Sebastian, it's going to be difficult to trade this because, again, it's a newer IPO and there's not that much data out there. So I'm actually going to put this down to a 4-hour chart. So normally with IPOs, I don't normally touch them until two quarters have passed. So they come out with 2 publicly earnings quarters, and then you start seeing the pattern form. That being said, this is looking fairly interesting. So we can kind of do let's do this. So we're going to do the previously high to the low to the high again. We can see some price targets coming here. Potentially looking for $60 to hold, but if that $60 price target can't hold, because those moving averages in 21 are pretty on a steep angle here, Sebastian, we can kind of see this potentially go lower to around $50. If that $60 price target can't hold, that $50 price target is kind of come in here, because again, those moving averages really need to stop moving so aggressively to the downside, and see how that plays out. SE, yes, we can look at SE. SE is a company that we would love to have bought into as well. Basically here at this move here, but we were too price sensitive to it. Kind of bouncing back super strong here. Really bounced hard off that 34. We saw that candlestick really give that momentum to the upside. Potentially looking at this Fibonacci retracement here from the previous swing high to low, looking to see that price target easily come up to 130 if everything looks great. We do have a squeeze setting up, the momentum's changing to the upside. RSI is going up as well, but we need to see the volume zone oscillator start going to higher positive numbers to potentially get above $20 to $40 or to 20 to 40 points here to really get above that 130 price target and potentially hit that 137 for SE there. Let's do drop some likes, people. Thank you, Johnny Bravo. Appreciate it. Zach D, thoughts on Etsy trade into earnings? The key next week. The Google Trends is on the roof. Yeah, I think Etsy is going to be great, but again, you have to be super mindful that even though it can beat on revenue, can beat on expectations or whatever, it can still go down. So with Etsy here, we kind of had a previous movement here to kind of hit that target around 118, and it has literally crushed it. We can start moving that up just slightly, so we're going to do the previous high to low here, and we can probably look at, that's probably the 2-1, yeah. So looking for initial target around 120, even to 127 to the upside, and those are just short to near-term targets. That doesn't mean that this is going to happen in a week or so, but with earnings on the 5th, so that's on Tuesday, right? Basically looking for $15 move this week. So $15 we're currently at is well above that 130 price target that we're initially looking at here as well. So this could be a pretty drastic move to the up to downside. To the downside, we're really looking for support around, I would say, 110 to 108. to downside support. That's where basically the 21 could come in on the next couple days. But the RSI, momentum, and volume zone oscillator are all looking good. So this stock is really looking poised to potentially get above that 130 price target in the near term. So great looking chart there, though, Zach. Big, what's up, my friend? Can you look at ZM? Yes. Zoom. So I got shooken out of Zoom, so I was long Zoom, but this right here shook me out. I had a stop loss, and I played it a little too close to the chest, and it kind of executed, and it shook me out, and I didn't notice it until in the middle of the day, and then it kind of started moving up from there. So it kind of was a little ticked off at that. But this one is really just building a base. We called about taking a break, potentially getting that momentum to kick higher here. We've seen that squeeze really building up here. RSI, we really need to see the volume zone oscillator to kind of start curling up and really kicking higher to the positive notes. If this really comes into fruition and start breaking out, we're looking for basically the 267 price target to start breaking, and then of course the next level is around the 281 from the previous high there. So we can kind of see on how that lines up with some fibs here as well. So the previous swing high to low, again, that 264 is going to be a really interesting price target where the parabolic SRs could line up, and then the next level higher, again, the previous high to 271 and then to 281 there, big. Sam, what's Sam? And Tim saying it's a FOMO. Is it a penny stock? Oh, Sam Adams. That's a pretty interesting trade. Are they buying someone? I guess a lot of people are buying beer. So is Bud coming out as well? Is Bud coming out for earnings? Like, Bud's earning was terrible. Am I thinking of the same company? What's Sam's doing different over there than Bud Light or Bud Company? I'm not really a beer drinker, so I don't know. Yeah, that's a really interesting company. That's a substantial move here on earnings, or they must be coming out. Do they have a new hard seltzer water with vodka or whatever in it, like everyone else has? Basically, really hard to. This looks like, again, that huge move up, that FOMO mentality. We call it the middle finger. So that's the first knuckle with the middle finger, then the second knuckle, indicating the basically the middle finger, saying F that, and now just kind of trading sideways, potentially waiting for these moving averages to kind of catch up here to kind of see how that plays out. Oh, they bought Trulio. Oh, Truly. So interesting. Okay, that makes sense. But with this being, again, yeah, with a huge movement higher, it's just going to be, again, it digested the news and now just trading sideways, potentially waiting for these moving averages to kind of catch up. Potentially, this can start breaking below the 781 price target and maybe kind of start catching up to the 21. But I think these moving averages are going to, the ticks are going to wait here for the moving average to kind of catch up here. I don't use flags for my technical analysis. I just use the momentum, price, and moving averages a lot of the times. Thoughts on Square, big expecting move. Yeah, we talked about Square initially. So Square is one of our longer holdings. We just start building a position into this, longer dated calls. Looking again, if it can break above the 133, we're really looking for around 140 price target. That being said, anything can happen. in the stock, to the downside, we're looking for some support basically around the 50% retracement or the 21, so around $22 or $23 to the downside. With earnings on the horizon, it's coin flip. We do have a squeeze setting up, and volume and RSI are starting to climb, which is a good sign. But the earnings could really throw a pretty big coin flip into the play, so we'll see how that plays out. Jennifer, have you noticed all the recession-proof stocks are doing great? If Google was in the recession, alcohol, cigs, beauty supplies, movies, theaters, and others beat many have swished. Yeah, the recession-proof stocks, I think I just call them more like a honey badger stocks that I've coined from other person I stole from, on the sense that they don't really care what's going on in the market. Like, we have those, of course, the virus stocks, the stay-at-home stocks, the pandemic stocks, of course, the Amazons, the Zooms, the Wayfairs, and whatever else you can throw in there, Teladoc, anything that doesn't require people to go outside and just have things brought to them. But we'll see how that plays out. I think that people are somewhat switching to... I don't know how they're switching. Again, it's very difficult to see on how people are buying into things. So one position that we got into on a longer position is on Clorox. So Clorox, of course, is a great stay-at-home play, and everyone needs those wipes and different disinfectant stuff, and they're the number one company to provide that. With earnings coming out on Monday, actually, I didn't know that. I did a little bit of a improp buying on this, basically a couple weeks ago, I believe. I can't remember now. When we kind of talked about it on the Patreon page. Again, if you guys are interested on joining the Dyslexic Club membership, just hit that join button down below. If you're not interested, that's totally fine. If you consider it, thank you for checking out. I really do appreciate it. And please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe as well. That being said, with Clorox, we're really looking for that next overhead price target around $2.46. If earnings are a little bit lackluster coming out tomorrow, we can kind of see some potential downside to well below the 21, potentially to the 34. But this thing has been performing fairly well. With this last earnings quarter, went pretty up well and really drove up some movement higher into the 246 price target. Initially, we could see that, but there could be some downside pressure. We had some pretty substantial moves into earnings, so we can kind of see how that plays out. Big CHWY. What is that? Is that the company that does the pet stuff, right? Oh, come on. Yeah. So this is kind of we kind of drew a box here previously. It's got that's a large move higher. So they're reporting. When are they reporting? That's Monday, right? So Monday after the close. This looks interesting as AF, as the kids would say. Looking for that potential move to break above that 72 price target. So that's kind of when we have that box here. It has tried to break above that $72, $73 price target so many times and have just failed here and just wasn't able to really get out of that box. We could see this momentum really tear into this. We do have a large squeeze indicating here. RSI and volume oscillator are both really printing very positive high numbers, and we really could see this at some higher price targets going forth. That being said, let's do a quick fib here to kind of give a somewhat of better understanding what some price targets could be to the upside. Basically, upside target would be around $55 for the first level of upside potential. To the downside, we could be looking at 50 to basically $50 down to $48 there to the downside support. But this momentum looks super strong, but again, super mindful of earnings, completely coin flip, so we'll see how that plays out. So be very careful with that one, my friends. Yeah, like Procter & Gamble, yeah, J&J, Clorox, like you pointed out. Yeah, I guess I see what you're meaning. Like, they're, Johnny, like more stay-at-home stuff. Like, Johnson & Johnson is just, what you mean by recession-proof, you're right. When I hear recession, that kind of blurs my mind. I just call them safety stocks. Basically, the ones that are just like, they have a great dividend, people are happy with them. The one that really comes to my mind, of course, is Waste Management, Johnson & Johnson. So for my long-term portfolio, we own some Waste Management, of course, with Johnson & Johnson as well. Just some steady eddies that pay a nice dividend, and they just take care of the whole investor people. Luke, Microsoft, been looking at, we can look at Microsoft real fast again. So with Microsoft, again, we're really looking to see that hold at 21 EMA here, looking for that potential movement, this parabolic SAR to get above that 208 price target and see how that rides higher. We do have a squeeze indicating here. We need to see the volume zone oscillator with the RSI to kind of start climbing higher to get above that 208 price target there to kind of see how that plays out. If that fails here, we're looking for basically start breaking below the lows here around 200 to the downside to see how that potentially gets out and down below the 50-day here on Microsoft. But it's really looking like it really wants to poise higher and go higher. That's my opinion, though. John, I think Twilio can reach 300. I don't know how soon, though. Ted, Walmart. Great choice, my friend, Walmart. So Walmart had a huge run up here. We kind of drew up the fibs here already from previous homework assignments. We hit that 100% or that previous high from that last month. Let me here. There, come on. There we go. That previous high here, we made a little bit of a high, but we did not close above it. So that's the key level we're looking at. We need to have closed above this line to show that the trend is intact and it continue going higher. We're seeing it kind of sloppy, kind of roll over here. Did not close below 21, which is good. That candle was super strong here, kind of bounced off the 34, and now kind of just hovering around the 130 price target. It can hold 130 price target into earnings. I'm really looking for this to hold 130. If it starts breaking below the 130 price target, it can go to 127. If these moving averages to kind of stop declining here and getting basically parallel with the 21, we could be seeing that movement start heading up to the 133 price target again. When does this report? The 18th is a little bit further off, so the 18th is basically that. So basically a $7 move from now into earnings. Pretty substantial again. We're really looking for that 130 price target to kind of come in and then basically really break and close above that high and really see that movement start getting up to 137 to 138 there. Allie, Beyond Meat. Yes, we can look at Beyond Meat, BYND. We own that position for a long-term hold. Sadly, it hasn't been performing as much as I would like. Potentially it starts coming down here to the 200-day, which I don't know why my alert's not there. Thank you for reminding me. If it starts coming down to the 200-day, I would like to add to the position. Again, with earnings on the horizon as well. I think it was on Tuesday after the close. Correct me if I'm wrong. But that momentum is still kind of driving lower here. That 5 and 8, it needs to start breaking that 5 and 8 to cross through the 21. I don't think that you're going to see that movement pre-earnings, but we'll see on how earnings plays out after the particular movement of that. I'm going to be a little bit on the bullish side of things. I'm not going to be trading earnings, but again, like we're talking about, we have earnings, we have long stock, we have stock in this, so we're going to be, of course, have a certain bias in it. We wanted to do a certain thing, but it's not proving itself right now. If it can hold and start potentially building a base here, if it goes negative to around 117 to 116, kind of start building a base and start going higher. The move is saying $18, so that's a pretty substantial move here. If we want it to go higher, we need to break above 143, basically breaking that parabolic SAR to kind of see that trend continue to go higher and have that 5 and 8 really cross through the 21 and seeing that just really get to all-time highs there. Vincent, MDMA, Roni, yeah. I don't know how the MDNA, I don't know. I can't, it's hard to completely bet on. Is it Moderna, right? Is it what is it? Is it MRNA, right? With this one, I think it's a lot of folks are giving a lot of crap to the board or the executive team, just selling their shares and kind of not giving the complete understanding of what's going on here. And they're getting kind of dissed on a lot of the talking head shows as well. So I think it's kind of getting beat down here. Again, we had large moves here on previous like stage datas, and it's working on so many XYZ people moving to stage 2, and they're getting more funding, blah, blah, blah. We'll see how that overall plays out. We're seeing some movement here. It's kind of coming here into the 21. It's below the 21 now. It kind of failed here at 78, hitting all-time high at 95. That was a previous target from that swing low to swing high here, where we're looking for 98, 95. That's fine, whatever. Now we're looking for the $71 price target to kind of hold. If that 21 breaks, that's the 34 is there basically at 71.39. If that breaks, we're looking for well below 66 to 65, and then down to $60 there. Again, it just looks like it could potentially just consolidating here. The RSI is not printing substantially lower, and the volume zone oscillator as well is not in complete negative numbers, but it's not looking pretty here. If you want to spec play this, go right ahead. If you have want to buy like 10 shares or something like that, and potentially just literally roll the dice, so you can see how that plays out. Yeah, Johnny Bravo. So I don't know if you know this. So Bill Gates, one of his largest positions is basically in Berkshire Hathaway in waste management. Tim, what about AZO? My buddy worked there and said they literally source an alternative for the reruns and they sell off their corporate level. Huge margin profit. AZO. What is AZO? Is that AutoZone? AutoZone. Yikes! That's a pretty heavily priced stock. I like how you do, Tim came in just giving penny stock ideas, and now he's like, okay, Ken doesn't like penny stocks. Let me just give him $1,200 stock price targets. I love it, man. Thanks, man. So this one, from the previous swing high to low, we had some consolidation basically at 1150. We are breaking above that. Looks like that squeeze really helped us fire that. RSI volume zone also look pretty good here. Looking for the next initial price target around $12.77. Sorry, $1,276.99 here. For the next target of upside potential, that's basically from the previous high there. See how that plays out from where we're currently looking at. It is trading very well between that 5, 8, and 21, 34, fairly nicely stacked. And see how that plays out into, looks like there's no earnings on the horizon, so it could just be easily a nice steady eddy and just grinding up there. Gregory, FNT. Sorry, FTNT. Okay. Yeah, this one as well, again, very much a stay-at-home, basically helping folks connect and properly protect their networks and VPNs, things like that. Earnings on the horizon, difficult. This one has just been really consolidating for literally weeks and maybe over like months. And I wouldn't say it's scary. It's just a little bit more in the sense of like, I don't know how to trade this one. We can kind of draw the box here to kind of give you a better perspective of what we're looking at here. This is what we're talking about, that trading in the range here. I don't think this has weekly options, do they? Yeah, this is somewhat of a newer stock, so they don't have weekly options. We've seen this before where it kind of just trades sideways and then kind of breaks out, trades sideways, breaks out. Like this traded sideways, broke out, then kind of came down with the overall virus, trade sideways and then broke out. I think this could trade sideways and definitely break out, but again, with earnings, it can be a complete coin flip, looking for potential target to break above that previous high at 150. Really need to see, again, it's just super choppy in this range here, and just really need to see it from the way I trade to kind of get either the top or the lower level of the box to see me kind of trade this. NVR. Yeah, that's a pretty high price stock. It's in it. That's a really nice looking chart, though. It looks like it wants to potentially hit that $4,000 price target to kind of potentially bump against it, though. Really, that's interesting, Tim, to hear that real estate's been going up through the roof. Sam, M-A-R. Is that Marion? Yeah, so this one's basically kind of, in lack of better words, an underperformer here. From the previous swing high to low, this thing has not been doing too well. Kind of had that run up here, a lot like the airline stocks. Kind of went way too far, went up too fast, too far, too fast, and now it's kind of coming down here. Failing here, basically looking for potential downside here. Potentially looking for support around 80 or 71.80, 71, so $72 to the downside. It's just very negative. It's below the 200-day. It's below the 21. The 5 and 8 are still below 21 and heading lower. Earnings could save it if they come out and basically have a vaccine for everything. But the travel stocks and hotels and airlines are just not doing very well because of the virus, guys. And I think everyone knows that. On that note, guys, I've been going for well over 2 hours here. I want to appreciate and thank everyone for coming out again. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you're interested in joining the Dyslexic Investor Club, there's a join button down below there. You can join that, and you get some extra perks there. And it, again, definitely supports the channel. Again, we'll be doing potentially a live stream. Looking at my calendar here to kind of see what we can be doing. We could potentially do a live stream on Tuesday evening and potentially Wednesday evening for basically some key earnings. We got Walt Disney, Activision, Beyond Meat, Twilio, NKLA after the close on Tuesday, and then some other really interesting ones on Wednesday. We have Square, Roku, Fastly, ATVI, all coming out. You got Sonos, that's interesting, on Wednesday. And that's basically the larger ones. And then Thursday we have Cloudflare, Dropbox, Datadog, Uber, and Fortnite, and T-Mobile. They're coming out. We have Booking Holdings coming out as well. So really interesting one. Thank you again, everyone, for coming out and joining. Hopefully, everyone, if you learned something today, please don't hit that like button. I really greatly appreciate it. And I'll definitely catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.